Hey guys, it's Sarah here. So I just wanted to quickly discuss some of the main things that happen in Season 6, Episode 10, the season finale of Game of Thrones. There will be spoilers for everything that's happened in the show and the books, and I know I'm going to miss a lot of little things that have happened because the show really wrapped up a lot of loose ends, but I just want to talk about some of the main things that happen. So first of all, the beginning was awesome. The cinematography, the soundtrack, the way they cut it, the pacing was really cool. Cersei blows up the Sept. I know a lot of us saw it coming. If you haven't seen my video about why I thought Cersei was going to use wildfire to burn the Sept or King's Landing, you should check it out because it explains a lot of things to people who aren't as familiar with the show and the books that may not understand why Cersei used wildfire or where the wildfire came from or what has been in the show in the past that would foreshadow this happening. So you can check that out. It might clear a few things up. I personally thought Tommen was going to die in the wildfire, but as we saw in the show, Cersei kept him apart, but she left him alone. She wasn't there with him, and so he saw his wife and his faith that he's just committed himself to being blown up by his mom. He knows it was his mom, and he commits suicide. It's really tragic. What I find more tragic is that Cersei didn't really seem to care. The only thing that I ever liked about Cersei was that everything she did, no matter how crazy or stupid it was for her kids. And now Tommen's dead, she doesn't even cry. Like, we know Cersei's lost now. Like, there's no redemption here. If you've seen my video, you know I think Jaime's gonna kill her for what she's done. And we could see that he was clearly upset when he saw the destruction and when he saw Cersei being crowned. So I think this is definitely gonna happen earlier in the next season. I think if Jaime does kill her in next season, he's going to have to bide his time because with Qyburn and the killer children around in the zombie mountain, he's going to have to be careful because he's going to have to take those guys out first or he's going to get killed by them. I was a little bit disappointed with the CGI wildfire, but I guess there's a budget, right? We got to appreciate that. But I thought the rest of it was very well done. I also really liked what happened in Dorne. With the Sand Snakes, Varys, and Lady Olenna. A lot of people asked me what I thought Varys was up to when he left Meereen, and I had no idea. But if I had thought about it harder, it would make sense that he would go to Dorne to get them to back Daenerys. In the books, it's Doran who's a Targ supporter, and Varys isn't the one that tries to get his support, it's Jon Connington and young Griff. But since the show has switched things up, it makes sense for Varys to do this. I didn't think it was possible because Doran was dead, but I forgot that girl power is totally a thing, and the Sand Snakes would be willing to support a female heir to the throne for sure. So with Doran and the remaining Tyrells supporting Dany, she will have probably most of the southern strength to retake King's Landing, especially if Jaime helps by taking out Cersei and her men. A lot of people have also been asking me if I believe Varys is the leader of the Harpy, and if that's where he was going on his mission. Clearly, that's not where he was going, but I am going to address that theory in another video coming soon. It's just really hard to find the time to make all these videos because there's so many theories I want to talk about, but they all take time, and then one theory leads to another, and I've got about 5 on the go right now, but they're coming soon, I promise. Thanks for being patient. So I think that'll be really interesting for next season to see Daenerys land in Westeros, gain support of some people in the south, and come up and take King's Landing. So while we're on the topic of Daenerys, let's just talk about her storyline. Dany and Tyrion really make me smile. They clearly respect each other and inspire each other. Dany made him Hand of the Queen, which is a position he excelled at, and he was in King's Landing as Hand of the King to Joffrey, and a position which was taken away from him rather humiliatingly by his father, and now it's his again. He earned it this time, it wasn't handed to him, and I think he's really going to show Westeros that he's a force to be reckoned with. Dany's clearly maturing and making the right decisions, thanks to his counsel, and I think she's going to have a good, clean landing and rise to power with Tyrion's help in Westeros. Hopefully with as few civilian casualties as possible. She's leaving Meereen to pick its own leader, but she's making sure that it happens peacefully and that it happens. And she's, I don't think she's the villain. A lot of people think she's the villain. I'm a firm Dany supporter, and I think she's really growing, and she's just learning how to rule. The last scene with the Greyjoys and her fleet was so sick. I love their alliance. I'm so excited to see where it goes. I think she's going to make a lot of headway in the next season, In the past couple seasons, she's just been kind of sitting there and nothing's really been happening, but I think it's all been built up for this, and I'm really happy that they decided to make her leave for Westeros by the end of the season. The last major thing that happened was in the north. Jon's declared King of the North. Lady Mormont is awesome as always, and I'm curious to see what will happen. Bran's clearly heading back south of the Wall. I think he's going to end up back at Winterfell, and I'm curious if Bran turns up, will alliances shift to Bran because he's Trueborn Stark, or will people continue to back Jon? Will that cause some more friction in the north? I know Baelish wanted to team up with Sansa to gain the Iron Throne, and she rejected him, so I'm nervous with him still being there because he wants what he wants, and he'll try anything he can to get what he wants. So maybe he'll facilitate something like this, any sort of conflict he can, because clearly Sansa's not going to help him, and he needs to break that down again. I don't know. I think Baelish is a wild card. I don't think he's up to anything good, so Sansa's going to have to deal with that in the next season. Speaking of Bran, his scenes were pretty unclear. Benjen just kind of drops him off by a tree, and he just slides over and has a vision of the Tower of Joy. Like, maybe that's the passageway that goes under the Night Fort that Sam and Gilly used, but I'm not 100% sure. But anyways, R plus L equals J was confirmed. That's awesome. I wish they did it in a better way, but it's still cool. So for people who don't really know the history of Westeros, the scene could have been a bit confusing, but I'm going to explain it for you. Basically, the lady dying was Ned's sister, Lyanna, and she was supposedly kidnapped by Rhaegar Targaryen, who was the Mad King's son and Dany's oldest brother, and he died at the hands of King Robert, which is how Robert became king before the show even begins. Now, even though people think Lyanna was kidnapped, many believe she and Rhaegar were in love and eloped, and Jon is revealed to be their child, and she asked Ned to take care of him and to protect him so that no one would know who he really was, or else he'd be in danger of being killed by Robert, because technically that son, if legitimate, may have been next in line for the throne. And she whispers to Ned that his name is, and then we don't hear it, so obviously it's Jon, but a fun theory is that Ned named him Jon to protect him and that his real name is something else, something more Targaryen. And it's a fun little theory to think about, so I made a theory video about it. It's going to come out this week. It doesn't really affect the plot or anything that happens. It's just a fun little theory to think about. Anyways, that basically sums up most of it. I mean, I didn't get a chance to do my Winterfell crypts theory this week because things got pretty hectic with my job. But since they didn't do the scene where they bury Rickon, it's possible this will happen early next season. So I will get started on that theory because I believe Jon will find out that he's the Targaryen in the crypts at his mother's tomb, or Bran will turn up in the crypts and share his vision with Jon. It's a bit tinfoil, I know, but the crypts are pretty deep and the tunnels are beyond the wall exist, so maybe somewhere along the line they connect. I think that there's going to be a Stark reunion in Winterfell if Arya decides to stop killing everyone on her list and rejoin her family. Then that would be awesome. I also think she's pretty badass though, killing Walder Frey like that. She's a little bit scary, and by a little bit scary I mean she's a lot scary. And I also secretly hope that she meets back up with Nymeria, her wolf, who's been wandering around the Riverlands collecting this giant pack of wolves and just killing Freys. I hope she gets this army of wolves, takes them up to Winterfell and uses them against the White Walkers, but who knows. Aside from what I've already mentioned, my predictions for next season basically involve confrontation with the White Walkers. I think the wall's going to drop. I think that they're either going to find the Horn of Joramun, which some people believe Sam has, some people believe it's in the crypts of Winterfell. Either way, I think that wall's coming down. If it's not through the Horn, I think the White Walkers are more than capable of taking it down. They can do some crazy stuff with ice, and a lot of people think that they might have even helped make the wall. But that's for a different theory, a different video. I'm more interested in hearing what your predictions will be for next season, because I can't really think of anything that's not obvious. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it wasn't very long or very informative, but hopefully I will have more theories out in the next few weeks. Things have been hectic at work, but I'm working on it. These videos take a lot longer than I thought, but I'm trying to make sure that each one's better than the last. You guys have been really supportive and giving me a lot of really good advice, so I really appreciate that. It's going to be a long wait until next season, but I'm going to try to make sure that we can keep theorizing until it comes out. Take care.